Live from the Spill Studios over the internets, it's time once again for a couple of cold ones with Corey and Carlisle.
You just say over the internets.
Over the internets.
Now, you sound like Madea. You sound like Tyler Perry saying it. Over the internets.
Well, you know where that came from, right?
What, over the internets? No, where'd that come from?
Internets? That was from George W. Bush during the debate in 2004 where he said, I know there's been rumors going around on the internets. And from then on, people started joking about the internets, and it just became a long-running gag. We have ex-president George W. Bush to thank for that meme.
Administration became a long-running gag. But anyway, man, we're not here to talk about politics. We're here to talk about the movies and other bullshit. And I apologize for getting started so late tonight. I went to go see... Okay, I told you I have a friend of mine who invites me to go see shows all the time. And tonight he invited me to go see, of all things, Motorhead. And yet, yeah, that was a kick-ass
cool.
show. Motorhead is kick-ass, man.
Yeah, I've never gotten to see them live. They were supposed to play live at a concert that I went to ages ago. Ozzy Osbourne was playing. They were supposed to open for Ozzy, and instead they canceled and got replaced at the last minute by a relatively unknown band at the time.
Coldplay.
Alice in Chains.
Oh, well, that wasn't such a bad band.
No. It was a great. Alice in Chains was great. In fact, what's odd is the opening act for that concert was Blind Melon. So I actually got to see one of the few live performances of Blind Melon before they became big and before the lead singer up and injected himself with lots of heroin.
Damn, that was back in those grunge days. A lot of bands you don't hear from anymore.
Oh yeah,
like Blind Melon. They were responsible for that song with the B-girl.
Yeah, No Rain.
No Rain, yeah. They got pissed off because that girl got more attention than the band. That girl is still more famous than that fucking band, man.
Well, that's because the lead singer died just after they became famous. He overdosed on heroin, and the band fell apart because the lead singer was gone.
Oh, but no, that B-girl was bigger.
She was.
Yeah, because they did a show where the B-girl came out, and the lead singer was one of the people who's like, fuck this girl, man. We don't even like this girl. This is like a big publicity stunt now, and nobody's listening to us. They wanted to see some little goddamn girl dancing around in a bee costume. But yeah, I mean, they were good bands, man. But I tell you, have you ever seen Motorhead live?
No, that's what I was saying. Is I did not get a chance to.
Man, people, let me tell you something. You really are as young as you feel. If you don't know Motorhead, they are a heavy metal band from England. And they're best known for probably two hits like Eat the Rich and Ace of Spades. And the lead singer at this point is like in his 60s. And that motherfucker rocked the house like he was goddamn 19 years old, man.
Lemmy. Lemmy's his name. Yeah.
Yes, Lemmy. This guy, you could tell this guy's like real. He's a real rocker, man. He looks like he just grew up street fighting. He's like a guy who has like that biker facial hair, and he has all these moles on his face, and he's still smoking and drinking like he's a fiend. And they put on a really cool show, man. I can't tell you how good that show was. That's why I came out. That's why I came up late tonight.
Who invited you to the show?
My friend Greg. Greg is the kind of guy, he'll invite. See, we see everything. See, people, you don't understand. I listen to everything. As long as you give me some good music or you invite me to a good show, I'll go. I've been to country shows where I'm the only black, I'm the only nigger in the middle of the crowd.
Yeah, because when you go to country shows, you're not black, you're a Negro.
That's why I said that. Not even Negro, you're a Negro.
Negro.
And yeah, man. And so him and I, we go to all kind of different shows, man. And sometimes they're bands you never heard of before, and sometimes it's a surprise. It's something huge. And tonight it was like Motorhead, Reverend Horton Heat, and Nashville Pussy.
Why didn't you mention Reverend Horton Heat, man? They're freaking awesome.
Because you know what, I didn't get to see a whole lot of that show because I got there a little bit late because I couldn't get there until he got there. But those one or two songs I saw, it was cool. It was a good show.
I've seen them live 3 or 4 times. Reverend Horton Heat is awesome.
Yeah, I had a fun time. Hey, look, like I said, listen to everything. I've heard a lot of Reverend Horton Heat songs. I mean, the one that I remember the most is it's a psychobilly freakout, and they start playing all that psychobilly music and shit. And
you don't remember It's Martini Time?
Nah, I wasn't that big of a fan.
Well, that's I'm pretty sure that song in particular off of the Heat is in Swingers.
Oh, really?
I'm not 100% sure, but I remember. I think I remember that being in swingers. Yeah, it was. They were really big in that swing movement in the '90s as well. Even though they weren't really swing, but they had that kind of '50s martini drinking vibe, and they were pretty cool. I dig them a lot.
I would have loved that. I love that lounge shit. You know, I'm the kind of guy that says every major town, especially Austin, needs a place where people can put on their suit and go to, and that's a dress code, kind of like what they did back in Vegas in the 60s and before that, you know, with the Rat Pack kind of shit. Yeah, so I would have dug that kind of shit, man. But yeah, I wish you could have gone. You know, if you really like Reverend Horton Heat, and if you like Motorhead, this would have been a good show for you. But I didn't know you were into that kind of thing. So.
Oh yeah, no, I dig that kind of music actually. You're speaking to me, man.
I'm speaking your lingo, man. But and tonight again, I was probably one thing I noticed, man. A lot of black girls show up. Black girls have a much more diverse taste in music than black men. Because when I was there tonight, I must have counted like about 2 black women, which is a lot for like a show like Motorhead. But I'm always the only black dude at these shows.
Well, you are in Austin.
I know. I just figured, like, you know, being in Austin, it would be like a little more open minded. I'm sure there's that other black dude across the crowd that I'm like probably telecommuting with, and I can't even and I don't even know it. Like I'm having telekinesis with him.
I think you'd run into one of those situations like that scene from Not Another Teen Movie where the guy pulls the other guy aside in the kitchen and says, "What are you doing here?" "Oh, I'm here for the party with my." "Oh, dude, you're the black guy at this party?" "Yeah, I'm the black guy at this." "Oh, my bad, man. I'm sorry."
Yeah. Don't let there be 2 black people at like a rock show or a all white party, because if you do, like a vortex will open and just suck the whole crowd in. You know, we touch each other and shit.
We only allow 1 token at our shows, man. I mean, that's the rule.
Well, we've filled our quota of black men tonight, which is 1. We can close the gates now. But anyway, man.
And it's just the opposite of black churches, because you can have that 1 white family in there, but any more than 1 white family, and it gets a little weird. It's like, what kind of church is this? I don't know now.
All right, if you're in a Tyler Perry movie, you can have more than 1 white family, but they all have to sit in the back.
Well, because it's about goddamn time, right?
It is. I guess it's like some sort of reverse.
That's what we call a black feel-good movie.
Yes, it is. I told Leon, I was like, you know, I'm waiting for that Tyler Perry movie where it's like the white Rosa Parks gets up and sits in the front of the church and that makes this whole big movement. But how you doing, man? I'm talking about me. How's everything going with you?
Oh, I'm doing real well. I've been locked inside my Fortress of Solitude watching movies all weekend.
What did you watch? Have you been watching screeners from Fantastic Fest?
Yeah, and then a bunch of Blu-rays that have come in the mail. So I've been watching a whole mess of stuff. But yeah, mostly screeners. Watching lots of really good stuff. And we could talk about that tonight. We could give the early preview of Fantastic Fest.
I was going to say, because I heard about some movies from Cyrus and from Mark Savlov from The Chronicle. I was talking to him tonight. He was telling me about some of the screeners. He told me about one that I'm sure all of you guys have seen, and it's the weirdest, sickest shit I've ever heard of. But we'll talk about that. You know what?
I haven't. I don't think I've gotten that screener yet, but we'll talk about that.
Okay. Well, before we get into that, you know what we do every week? We have to talk about the top 5 first.
Oh, I thought we tried to conquer the world.
Oh! No, I thought that was a given.
That's every night. Every week we do the top 5 brought to you by Rossville.
All right, then. We are going to start out. See, a lot of people, if you're here for the first time, we don't start out with number 1. We start backwards. We start with number 5. And number 5...
The number 5 movie of the week is...
Jennifer's Body, which brought
it cracked into the top 5,
It barely. It came in with a very low $6.8 million. The movie cost $16 million to make, so it's not terrible for its budget, but came in a lot lower than expected. So.
Well, it's terrible for what this movie should have done. Whether you like this movie or not, I'm hearing mixed reviews from the people who have seen it so far, and I know you've seen it. I haven't talked to you yet, but this is a rated PG-13 horror movie starring one of the biggest female draws out there right now. Everybody's talking about her. Everybody's Googling her. Everyone's in love with her. How does a movie like this make $6.7 million?
I don't know, but somehow it did. And I think it's rated R, actually.
Oh, I was under the impression that this was a PG-13 movie. That was the whole thing with it.
No. This is rated R because there's not graphic scenes of sex, but there's a lot of sexual scenes in there and a lot of graphic talk. And I would be really surprised if this was a rated PG-13. Let me just say that.
I'm actually checking it right now.
Yeah, check and see. But I mean, even worse because.
Oh, okay. No, it is rated R.
And see something that is worse because we talked about
Someone told me it was PG-13.
No,
and that was part of the reason I wasn't too interested in it.
And fuck this movie because it's rated R. We don't see any of Megan Good's bits in there. We don't see no tits. We don't see no ass. Everything.
Megan Good?
I mean, Megan. Well, you must know who I have on the brain right now. But
yes, I do.
I'm a Megan Good fan more than a Megan Fox girl myself. But Megan Fox does not get naked in this movie, and we were promised that. Like they made a big deal about her getting like topless in the movie a long time ago, and then they decided to pull it from the film. So I think there's actually a scene in there where she is topless, and they cut it.
Well, no, the big thing was that there was photos floating around that they shot from the film that someone snapped. They were candids of her walking around in these pasties that covered her nipples up, but she was otherwise looking naked, and people felt that would lead to believe that this film involved nudity, which I had never actually heard was the case. So
yeah, I mean, come on, it's like. What's the big deal? You think you're too good to do that shit? Every chick that it's funny. A lot of chicks who've gotten topless in movies have gone on to win some Academy Awards, kind of in the same movies that they were topless in. I mean, look at Halle Berry in Monsters Ball. Man, crazy sex scene in there. Chick goes on to win an Oscar. See?
Yeah, you can win an Oscar, but there's a certain level of respect, and I totally understand it. Having talked to several actress friends in the past, a lot of them have had really bad experiences where you do that film where you appear topless even for a few frames, and what ends up happening is it circulates on the internet. I had a friend who complained that she found her pictures in a Hustler, that someone sent her the Hustler, and they took scenes from movies and showed all the stills, and the idea that this thing that you did for art is in a spank book is really kind of degrading to these women, and so I can kind of understand making that choice not to do it. Although Megan Fox, her entire career exists based upon her sexuality.
Yes.
Nobody likes Megan Fox because I have never in my life heard anyone say, "Oh, that Megan Fox is a really great actress." No, you don't think that. And if you do, you're thinking with the wrong head there, bimbo.
No, exactly. Let me tell you my thoughts on this. I mean, get it out the way early. I mean, she's hot right now. She's a sex pot. And like you said, her acting is not what people are actually taking into account first and foremost. It's her tits and her ass. And the thing is that you get it out the way while you're young, and then you move on to like more classy things, and then you say, yeah, I took those pictures when I was young. Yeah, they're circulating everywhere, but now I'm a good actress. I'm even directing and producing now, and nobody even cares at a certain point. So, but well, yeah, I mean, let me just say that the movie wasn't even all that great. So it doesn't matter if she got naked in the movie or not. I don't want people to think I'm that shallow, which I can be, but the movie just wasn't all that strong. And I can understand why the movie came in at number 5. I just think it's funny because everybody made a big deal about it. Being Diablo Cody, the woman who wrote this and wrote Juno, and she wrote it saying, "Oh, well, I'm writing this movie to show that chicks are really cool and they can get into horror movies too." And it's just like, well, you kind of wrote Juno as a horror movie. Dialogue that's too hip, and we wrote a horror movie that we've all kind of seen before. It really wasn't that great. So,
was the dialogue ultra hip in this?
It was, and see, some of it's funny. At the beginning, I was kind of hanging with it, but as the movie went along, they were trying really hard to be hip. And
you know what's sad? Remember Disaster Movie?
Yeah.
Remember that terrible? Remember the one thing that was funny in that movie was how close they nailed Diablo Cody.
Yeah.
Like the one thing those two numbnuts, no talent directors can do is make fun of Diablo Cody effectively, and it was really kind of funny.
Yeah, that was one of the running jokes that I thought it went on too long, but I was like, hey, well, you got that right at least. So anyway, yeah, Jennifer's Body. Not a lot of people were thrilled about it. They're not buying into the hype of Megan Fox or Diablo Cody with this one. So let's move on to number 4.
Number 4 movie of the week.
Man, one of those romantic comedies that came out that kind of went under the radar with us at least, which is Love Happens, which brought in $8.5 million with a budget of $18 million. So
well, they did screenings of it. They just didn't screen it in Austin.
And see, that's funny because this is a Universal movie, and I know Harry Knowles is like doing a lot of the screenings here now, so maybe they just thought that this wasn't a movie for him, so we didn't get to see it.
It's possible. I'm not hearing any good word on this movie.
Yeah, Jennifer Aniston and what's his name, Harvey Dent.
Aaron Eckhart?
Yeah, Aaron Eckhart. Yeah, I can't tell you anything about it because since they didn't do anything here in Austin with it, even so much as like give us any kind of heads up, I wasn't following the movie. Have you heard anything about this at all?
I know it's a romantic comedy and that it's a new Jennifer Aniston movie, but it aside from that, yeah, it was something that really wasn't on my radar, and the fact that they didn't show it here just was like, oh, okay, I guess.
Yeah, same here. I mean, really, maybe the movie was great. I've been hearing some pretty bad things about it myself, reading on it, and when I say hearing some bad things, I'll go to Rotten Tomatoes every now and then, and I see that movie kind of rated very low. So, and it looks bland. I mean, it looks like everything else we've seen out there. So now, I didn't really hurt myself about it.
I'm going to end up seeing it because, that's I do kind of dig these movies. And we do sometimes find ourselves in the minority of critics when it comes to romantic comedies. I mean, one of the things I was watching this weekend was the Blu-ray for Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, which we all loved. And that got Rotten Tomatoes had that at 37%. We were in the minority on that one, but I still adore the hell out of that movie. So, I'm going to check it out. We'll see if it's any good. Of course, I won't get to check it out this week because Fantastic Fest.
Yeah, and keep in mind, people, a lot of people think that we're kind of a genre movie site where we only review like fantasy horror and some extreme comedies that appeal to the nerdy crowd or certain movie people. And not really. We review anything and try to do it fairly. I mean, it's just what we're given to see. And sometimes they're pulling back on a lot of movies right now. Speaking of which, tomorrow, I think we're going to have to do one of those unscreened things for surrogates because they're not letting us see that here.
Oh, they're not bringing surrogates?
Nope.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
there's a couple things coming out this week that they're not showing us. Pandorum comes out next week, too.
Well, they're showing to the public, but not us. They're having a Thursday night screening. See, that's the other thing that sucks, people. They're having screenings for the public, but they won't let critics into it. And they did that with, like, Sorority Row, and now they're doing that with Pandorum, and so we won't get to see that. So we're forced to do one of our unscreened reviews because we have nothing else to do. But we do have some screenings this week. Zombieland. And Michael Moore's movie, Capitalism. Yeah, so it's not like we don't have anything to do. They're just not giving us some big movies. But anyway, we'll talk about that later.
And then we're gonna have tons of stuff this week too, because there are a lot of big premieres in this town this week. So
oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So let's move up to number 3.
The number 3 movie
is Tyler Perry's "I Can Do It All." No, I'm fucking this title up already. Tyler Perry's "I Can Do Bad All by Myself," which last week was number 1, and this week it brought in $10.1 million for a total of $38 million overall. And Tyler Perry makes his movies for about $12, so he's doing all right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So actually, no. You know what? Let me see. Last week it was number 1 last week, of course. Yeah. So what can we say about Tyler Perry than what we've always said?
Than we didn't say last week when we spent an hour and a half talking about it.
Yeah, he's got his audience on lockdown, so as long as he keeps that up, he's probably going to be number 1 until people start to realize, oh, fuck, I've seen this movie 5 times already. So that brings us to number 2.
The number 2 movie.
It is number 2, but didn't do gangbuster business, but didn't do bad for what it was. The Informant. Opening weekend brought in $10.5 million. It is budgeted at $22 million, so this movie's going to probably go on to do well.
Yeah, it'll do decently. Not a mainstream film. That was the thing, is I really like this a lot, but it was not something that was geared towards being a big film. So I can't really say that I'm surprised that it didn't do all that well, but it's a really good movie.
You know something? It did do well for just coming up at the last minute, coming out of nowhere. For a Steven Soderbergh film movie, which, as we all know, Steven Soderbergh, he's made some mainstream movies that have done well. Again, Out of Sight is one movie of his that I love. But The Informant, I didn't really hear about this movie until like a couple of weeks ago, and I think this movie probably had been getting a lot of press because, well, let's just say that without seeing the movie, the most obvious thing about it is Matt Damon is fat.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that never struck me. I mean, I saw it during the film. It's like, oh, hey, you put on a little weight, but I really don't think that's the most glaring thing about it.
Well, see, it was for me because I was thinking like, all right, I'm not one of those people who's gonna like just focus in on, oh, he's fat, but I did look at him and say, okay, I think he has a prosthetic for the nose, and they put some stuff in his cheeks. But for being Matt Damon, somebody who was in the Bourne movies not too long ago, he really did transform himself for that film, and I'm glad the movie's done well for him. Yeah,
yeah, and he gives an incredible performance in the film too. He's not at all like he's ever played before. He really got into this character.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I wish we had talked about more during our review. We kind of glossed over that, but he did do really well in this movie. Do you think he'll get nominated for this?
I think he will probably get nominated. He's not going to win for it because it's not that kind of a powerful role.
Yeah.
But it is a nomination role, and it's one that he's probably going to get nominated because he's someone that he's in that special category of guy who everybody knows deserves an Oscar for acting, but hasn't gotten one yet, and needs to find that one perfect role so he can get it.
Yeah.
And just he's a guy like Brad Pitt. He's an incredible actor who takes movies that interest him and takes movies that are smart choices.
Yeah.
But he doesn't play ball. You're never going to find him in the Holocaust picture. You're not going to find him playing the defiant Nazi because he knows that'll get him an Oscar. He's going to take interesting roles like this. He's going to take stuff that he really excites him. Things like working with Soderbergh on a small film like this, or working on the Ocean's films and doing the Bourne movies, and things that really speak to him.
Yeah, and the Academy, I agree with you on that. This is the kind of role that the Academy Awards is going to say, well, this isn't a winner role, but we're going to go ahead and nominate you to show you that, hey, thanks, and we do recognize your talent. So that brings us to number one, man.
Number one movie of the week is
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Really?
Yeah, man. And hey, look,
it do?
$30 million. That's how well it did. Pretty much just eviscerated all the other competition. $30.1 million, man.
And this movie this literally just came out of nowhere. They tried promoting this earlier this year, and everybody kind of yawned at it. Nobody cared. It was a September animation release. Those always universally, historically suck. There was a screening for this, and it was one of those things where it's like, man, it's too early to see that. I've seen these September releases a million times. I passed on it. You guys went, and how was it?
Loved it. One of the funniest things we've seen this year. It was we were surprised because I was like everybody else. In our review, we just kept getting comments from people saying, I'm really amazed that you guys like this because I looked at the trailer for this and thought boring and I don't want to see this and I'll pass and wait if I do want to see it. I'll take my kid and I'll be bored. But man, this movie is really up there. It's Pixar quality. It is very imaginative, the theme that they have here, because they have so many jokes that they do with food, and you think that it's going to get old, and they just keep building on it. And the characters in this movie are funny. The voice work is great. I mean, this is one of those movies where they don't take themselves seriously at all, and they just keep the jokes coming and coming and coming. And it's like, man, this is probably one of those rare animated movies that is up there in my top 10 favorite animated films. It is
really that good.
It is so entertaining, man. I can't tell you. I mean, maybe it probably won't win an Academy Award, even though it's such a small category that it has a good chance. But
because it's up against one of the very best movies of the year.
And Up is going to win no matter what. Pixar might as well just, when they finish making a movie, they just might as well go up to the Academy and say, "Give me the award now." I'm gonna win.
That's not what they do. What they do is they extend the shelf. And they very quietly wait for the award. They don't demand it, but they do clear off a space so that they have a place to put.
I'm not saying they're going to demand it. I'm just saying that they know now, like, hey, if nothing else, we're Pixar. We're going to win. We're not demanding this, but you might as well give it to us now. Hey, save the trouble. Just save yourself the trouble and give it to us now. We'll give an acceptance speech when the time comes. But Up is going to win this year, and Up deserves to win. Up is a better movie just for the emotional impact that it has. But I will say this, as far as just being entertained without one bit of boredom in there, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is right up there, man. It is right behind Up this year as one of the best animated features. And it's hard for me to recommend it to people because it's one of those things that you just have to see. It's so much going on that I would probably have to see it again to catch some of the things that I missed, because there's so many details going on, not with the characters in the foreground, but also the characters in the background. Great craft work on this movie, man. Not just the artistry, but just all the bits of characterization that went into it. Their extras in this movie are funny characters. So, yeah, I highly recommend it, man. I mean, I don't want to build it up for you because you'll probably go see it and be like, it's average. It's good, but it's average. But for us, going in with low expectations, that movie, it hit the mark, man.
Right on. It's good to hear.
Yeah. If you get a chance, see it. I mean, if not, you can get it on Netflix or whatever. But either way it goes, you're going to be entertained. So let's see, man. We have some stuff coming up for Fantastic Fest.
Stuff.
That's right. Fantastic Fest stuff. Fantastic Fest is the genre film festival here in Austin that is sponsored by the Alamo Drafthouse, and I believe Ain't It Cool News also.
Yeah,
right?
It was started by them. It is my favorite week of the year. I have my favorite weekend of the year, which is Button-Umathon, and then my favorite week of the year, and that's Fantastic Fest. It is 8 days of nonstop genre movies. It is only horror, science fiction, fantasy, and animation, and they kind of bend it a bit and include Japanese comedy into that.
Well, they're actually beginning to bring in some non-genre films, it feels like, I don't know if they're trying to fill the festival or what. But
no, they've stretched. They've bent the rules in the past based upon what is the idea of it, and they've kind of bent what is fantastic to mean, well, it's a fantastic film. But really, what it is the focus is genre, and every once in a while they'll bring in something that kind of breaks the mold a bit. But the only films that really aren't genre films that play are things like Japanese films, and they kind of fall. Tim Lee considers them to fall into a genre all their own.
So what are we going to see, like Tentacled Vagina Fest?
No, actually, I don't think there are any. They never bring any hentai, nothing like that. But you do see a lot of weird stuff. There's one film that I just watched last night, which is a 4-hour epic comedy romance called Love Exposure. And it's a weird film. It's the first film I've ever seen that the credit sequence rolled 58 minutes into the film.
What?
58 minutes in, the credit sequence started. And it's a 4-hour film, so it wasn't even like, oh, you're showing this halfway through. No, you're not even halfway through yet. It was an endurance test. It was interesting. It wasn't painful, but it was a weird film that I think some people are really going to like. It's a novel put on screen. It is a long story about a boy falling in love with a girl and all the crazy fucked up shit that happens, going from him kind of imprinting on himself at a young age what he was looking for in a woman, and ultimately finding her and trying to win her. And in between there's just an abnormal amount of weirdness that sounds cooler than it is when you try to explain it to someone, but totally works.
Yeah, no, it's that sounds horribly boring, man.
Okay, well then let me win you over, Corey. I'm going to make you see Love Exposure.
Okay, it depends on what kind of love they're exposing.
The guy who in question becomes a world-renowned panty photographer who learns martial arts and uses martial arts moves to snap upshot pictures of Japanese schoolgirl panties.
Oh, I think I know that form of martial arts, panty fu. I got that down, man. I got a black belt in that shit, 3rd degree. No, this is okay. So this is the kind of movie that you can expect at Fantastic Fest.
Well, yeah, this is an abnormality, but
well, no, because I'm about to explain and you've heard of this movie. that
you talking about the Human Centipede?
The Human Centipede.
Man, I need to get that screener. I've been hearing about it for a long time, and I really want to check that movie out.
This is the third time tonight I've heard about it. And just to give you an idea of what to expect from something called the Human Centipede. Now, you're thinking Human Centipede, it's a genre movie at Fantastic Fest. It's about a guy who probably he has 2 arms and maybe 16 legs, and he's a mutated man. No, it's not that. It's about a German scientist who takes 3 people, I think a man and 2 women, and sews them together, like from intestinal tract to mouth, to where they're one long, like, organ or one long organism, like a human centipede. And so, all right, now listen to what I'm saying here. They tie the intestinal tract, which has to come out of somebody's ass and be sewed to another person's mouth, which means that somebody's going to shit in somebody else's mouth, and it's going to pass down from that person, and they're going to shit in that next person's mouth until that person pretty much takes everybody's shit and shits it out their ass.
Oh, well, that's what we call Wednesday nights around the Spill Studio. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest here. That's not so weird. At least that's what you keep telling us.
And you know something? There's only 3 of us because...
We just never have a camera in the room.
Well, as you know, there's 4 humans on the Spill crew, and there's only 3 people sewn together because we have to leave a 4th person to unsew us after when Thursday comes around. So it's...
and we draw short straws for that one.
Oh, yeah, we all take turns. Okay, who's going to get the mouth shot in this week? Oh, okay, I guess it's my turn. No,
it's actually, the sad thing is that people don't want to fight over who has to be what we call the DD, the designated driver.
Well, what did you have for lunch? Okay, spaghetti, I can take that. Fine. All right. Sushi. Okay, fine. I'll gladly take your shit today. No,
No, not the spicy chili.
Yeah, we had a fucking large pizza with meat toppings on it. Oh, fuck. All right.
It's burrito time.
I drew the short straw. Jesus Christ. But that is probably, I've heard one person say that.
We just lost half the audience. They've turned it off.
They're like, enough of this shit. Is this, like, we've had that first time listener who's like, is this what I can fucking expect to hear from these guys every goddamn week? Fuck this. I'm gone. But I heard from some people saying, hey, you know what? I've seen a lot of weird movies at this festival alone. I've seen some weird Japanese shit. I've seen crazy porn from Germany. But this shit here, it has got to be the most bizarre and disturbing thing I've seen.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and you know what? With an endorsement like that, I want to see it. And there's even a part in there where this guy is crying. He's like, because he's so full, hey, he can't help it. He's got to take a shit, and it's going to come out no matter what. And so he's like crapping in this other girl's mouth. He's like, I'm sorry. And the other girl's like, ooh, and the professor sitting there is like, yes, feed her. And I was like, Jesus, man. I've been to some crazy parties, but goddamn.
And this is a Japanese film, right?
No, it's not. That's what my question was. I'm like, oh, this has definitely got to be something from Japan. And like, nope. I think it's made by an American. Or at least maybe a German. And Germans can do some crazy shit too. I've heard about porn films and eels with them. So I don't know.
Well, it's eels and octopus and...
Jesus, man. You know something? If you thought about it, somebody's done it out there. This is a disturbing ass world we live in. But if you can get that, that's the one that I hear that it's not a good movie. It's just something that has to be seen to be believed.
Yeah, let's see here. No, I guess it is an American film. Oh, wait, no. It's made in the Netherlands, UK.
Oh, okay. You knew it was.
And it's in English, German, and Japanese.
Okay, so the Japanese were involved some kind of way.
Somehow.
You knew they were around there somewhere, sneaking around doing that crazy shit. So I'm surprised you didn't get that screener, though.
That screener came up after I got a bunch of other stuff. I have a lot of stuff that other people don't have, so. Yeah,
I would recommend that you go, you watch that, and then you rinse your mind off by going to see Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs after that.
I don't know if I want that combination. Because what you're going to do is you're going to show me a film about people who are sewn together and shit into each other's mouth, and then send me to a film about food. Really? That's how you want me to see Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs?
And
I think the whole time I'll be sitting there going Sprinklins with a Chance of Meatballs, perhaps.
Hey, let me tell you something. If you really look hard enough, now I kept the review innocent. I did not go that far with it, but there was a moment in that movie where if you look at it hard, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs I'm talking about, if you look at it with the twisted enough frame of mind, you're going to say, okay, that thing right there looks like a giant sphincter in the sky. Yeah, that's all I'll say.
Okay, that you've totally ruined the film for me now. I'm going to think about Human Centipede the whole time I see that fucking movie. Holy shit.
Welcome to A Couple of Coleman's, ladies and gentlemen. With Corey and Carla.
Corey and Carla. Oh, yeah.
So have you had any other interesting screenings? Although I don't think you could top that one right there.
I can.
Okay. Oh, shit.
I could top the shit out of that.
Oh, my God.
I have seen a film that is one of the better things that will show at this festival. It is a very, very good film. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'm so glad to have the screener because I will watch it a couple of times again.
Can I take a guess?
Go for it.
Bronson.
No.
Oh, okay.
I am about to tell you
Outlook Terrace?
Who directed this film, and you won't believe me.
Okay.
It is a film called Rampage, directed by Dr. Uwe Boll.
Oh, shit. Wait a minute. Is this the Rampage based from off of the video game?
No. It's not based on... That's the thing everybody thinks is because it's based on a video game. No, in fact, that's what... He wrote, directed, and produced this film.
And you liked it?
I liked it a lot.
Wow.
It is not your typical Uwe Boll film. It does not look like an Uwe Boll film. It doesn't feel like an Uwe Boll film, but it clearly is an Uwe Boll film. It is really, really good. If you watch Uwe's films, there's a recurring theme. He's very down on America. He thinks we're a bunch of overfed, cheeseburger-eating, ignorant morons.
Well, we are, but what's his problem?
Love Michael Bay films. Because he believes that we don't have actual taste in film. And so he's been feeding us this steady diet of shitty films for years. We've been insulting him. He finally turns around and he makes a really great film that's all about America. And what it is it's about this guy. He's about 22 years old. He's kind of a burnout. Things aren't going well for him. His parents want to kick him out of the house. His boss won't give him a raise. His life is just kind of shitty and lonely, and he's just constantly agitated. And at about minute 25-30 in the film, he puts on a suit of body armor, takes a bunch of guns, goes downtown, and starts killing everyone. And the rest of the film is him on this bloody rampage through his small town, just murdering people in horrible ways.
Okay, now some people would argue and say, that sounds a little bit exploitive.
Except the thing is it's not a slasher film. And it's not an exploitation film. And as the film develops, it's got a real genuine plot. It's got something to say. It's not a perfect film. There's a few flaws that I'll discuss in a moment. But it is a really good film. He knows where to take breaths and to take breaks and kind of pause the action so it doesn't become a steady staccato of gunfire. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, get a chance to take his digs at our culture. And he's not off the mark. He has a lot of just interesting comments about America, about the type of country we are, and about our arrogance as a country. But by the same token, he also creates this character that you both hate and admire as the film goes on, because he's not just your average kook. And he's a very interesting character to watch develop. And as you get to the end of the film, you're like, wow, that is not only the best Uwe Boll film I've seen, that's a good little movie. I like that. It's a very cool flick.
Okay, you got me sold. I will see this.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going. I would really have anything to say, but while you let me say something here now, I will. I've never seen a Uwe Boll movie, not one. Haven't seen one film of his, and I'm thinking, all right, maybe this is a good time to see my first Uwe Boll film.
It actually is. That's exactly what happened with my wife. Was we popped this in, and I had completely forgotten it was his film, and it comes up and it goes Rampage, and we're like, okay, this is what we're gonna watch, and then it says a film by Uwe Boll, and I'm like, oh shit, honey, you want me to take it out? And she's like, no, keep it in. And I didn't realize I had completely sheltered her from everything Uwe Boll. She's never seen one. So as a result, this was her first experience. And after we got to the end, I really liked it. I'm like, okay, you know what? I gotta find out. Am I insane on this? And I talked to her and I'm like, would you watch it again? She's like, yeah, I definitely watch it again. It wasn't a great film, but I'd watch it again. It was good. And so I was like, that's exactly how I feel. So I know I'm not alone on this. And other people online have seen the film play elsewhere and have reacted really strongly to it. And Tim League really likes this film. He thinks that it's time for people. He had booked it, as far as I know, he booked it sight unseen because he's like, I love having Uwe Boll here. We know he's going to have a really fun Q&A because he's coming with the film. But he watched it and he really loved it and wrote up a glowing review online that I highly recommend you don't read because it's really heavy on the spoilers. But all you need to know is that it's an Uwe Boll film. It's actually worth seeing, and it's about a guy who loses his shit. It's a really fantastic little film. Now, the flaws in the film are twofold. The first one is that there's an actress in the movie that who plays his mother, and she sounds like she's ad-libbing. So some of the dialogue in the film may be ad-lib, but all the other actors are able to pull their own weight, except for this woman who constantly ums and ahs.
So when you say ad-libbing, it's like she can't figure out. She's not clever enough to figure out the next line.
Like she is, but her pause in between is like, and it's something you don't hear in films and is really irritating when you hear in films.
Yeah.
But she's not a main character. She's just there briefly, and you'll notice what I'm talking about. You'll be like, yeah, she does sound like she's ad-libbing. And the other problem is there's a final title card at the very end of the film. The film is over, and Uwe puts up a title card, and the title card sucks. I hate the title card. It's unnecessary. It's spoon-feeding the audience, and I hope to God he cuts it before he puts final. Because the film is really, really great up until that, and you're like, oh, come on, man. Really, you want me walking out with that?
It says, the end. Or is it?
No. It's like, and then blah-de-blah.
And he went on to be president of his village.
And it was something that we already knew, and we didn't really need to know. It tells you a little bit of information that you really don't care about. The film ends exactly the way it needs to end. It's perfect. You don't need to put that title card up because the ending is great. It's one of those things where when you get to the end, you're like, oh, fuck me. That was fucking cool. So yeah, Uwe Boll is definitely not the worst director in the world anymore. He has proven that he can when he wants to, or by pure accident, direct a film that is highly entertaining that I cannot say that he has not had cinematic worth because he has now put out one good film.
Well, I've always had my thoughts on Uwe Boll, not having seen any of his films, but hearing about them, I've always thought, man, this guy is just shitting these movies out for a reason other than he just makes bad movies. I mean, somebody who is consistent with this and is giving money knows that they're making bad films and either doing this as a joke or they're trying to work, maybe saving his money and trying to work towards making a really good film. And that just reinforces my thoughts right there about him. And I even heard like kind of cool things about Postal, that that was a movie that he wasn't serious with, but I heard a lot of people say like, hey, you know what? I really expected this to be terrible. And it was actually a fun film.
It's not terrible, but it's not good. There was one really good joke in the film and one mildly amusing joke, but the rest of the film really fell flat and was over the top. Yeah. This movie did everything that Postal wanted to do without being funny and actually said everything Uwe wanted to say in Postal. He managed to get it all out in this one film. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where the idea came from, where he's like, well, fuck, I'm just going to make a film about the violence and satirize America that way. And sure enough, he did it perfectly. Okay. And it's a really good film.
And the movie's called Rampage.
Rampage.
Well, I'm glad you told me ahead of time, because if I probably would have hated the movie if you hadn't told me what it's about, because I would have cut it on expecting like a giant gorilla and a giant lizard tearing up a city like that video game, because that's what he's done so far. He just made video game movies, really bad video game movies.
He has. Now, my favorite film that I've seen is a film called Fish Story. Now, you have to see this, Corey.
Why is that?
Because it's fucking great. I love this movie. This movie may be in my top 10 of the year. I absolutely adore this film. It is a Japanese film that is set in 2012, and a comet is coming and going to slam into the Earth, and it's going to slam into the ocean and create a tsunami that's going to completely wipe out Japan. Japan's fucked. And there's a guy wandering around the city, and he sees a record store open. And he's like, what the fuck is a record store doing open? He goes in, and the clerk and the customer inside are going about like nothing's wrong. And he starts, kind of berating him. He's like, don't you know it's the end of the world? What are you doing? And the guy behind the counter believes that the world's going to be saved. And he kind of alludes to the fact that he believes the world is going to be saved because of a punk rock song. From that point on, the film jumps around in 4 other time periods: 1975, 1982, 1999, and 2009. And it spends its time going through and showing a series of events that may or may not lead to the Earth being saved as a result of a punk song. And it's really fucking good.
I don't think I've heard about this in length, but I've heard about this movie before somewhere, like some news story or something. So, I mean, maybe the movie's getting popular and I heard about it from somewhere. But anyway, so it's really good, though.
It's really, really good.
It sounds confusing.
What it feels like, it's the best way to describe it is it's kind of like a cross between Donnie Darko and Magnolia, in which you're given all these pieces and see how they kind of weave together. It really feels like a Richard Kelly movie, but a good Richard Kelly movie. But it's got that kind of Paul Thomas Anderson magic to it. It just really, it feels like a fusion of those two styles together in something of a science fiction film. And I say something of a science fiction film that just proves to be really, really awesome. I just love it. It's such a human film. It's very profound, and it's just beautiful. It's eloquent. It's such a great movie. I want all 4 of you guys to see this movie really badly, so we can all sit around and talk about it, because I want people to see this movie. It's called Fish Story, and it is the best thing that I've seen out of this stack of 24 movies.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I heard about a film called I might have it wrong. It's either called Overview Terrace or Outlook Terrace. Have you heard of this?
The name sounds familiar. I haven't seen it.
I heard.
Let me look it up right now. I'm checking on the Fantastic Fest site right now. But what did you hear?
I heard that it was like one of the best movies they had seen at that festival. It was like a Guy Ritchie movie without all the Guy Ritchie tricks and novelties. And I heard like it's about a crime family that's in decline, and they said it was very touching. It has a lot of the cast from that British series Spaced.
Oh, Down Terrace.
Down Terrace. Okay, is that what it's called?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I heard from Mark Saviloff was telling me this. He's like that is the thing that you need to go see. Out of anything that you see at that festival, Down Terrace is the one that you want to go to.
Oh, I need to check that out. I've actually kind of brushed that one aside.
Yeah, I think it's about a British crime family, and it's just what happens to them as they start to lose power. And I don't know anything about it, which is kind of cool because it just piques my interest a little bit more. I know it's showing on Friday, so I'm probably going to go check this out. But
there's another Guy Ritchie-esque movie playing, actually.
Which one is that?
Crazy Racer.
The hell is that?
It is an insane Hong Kong film about a guy who's a cyclist, a professional cyclist, a bike racer, whose life kind of gets messed up, and as a result, he ends up mixed up with a whole series of incompetent criminals who are all kind of whirling around one another in one shape or form in all these bungling things that keep playing into one another. and just like a Guy Ritchie film, comes to a head in a spectacular climax of fuck-ups. And it's a really fantastic film that's really visually sharp. It's beautiful. It has that Guy Ritchie flair. There's some really cool camera things they do that I really like. And it's, in fact, if you watch the Fantastic Fest trailer, it's the one that has the flying Zippo lighter that leads to a whole series of just crazy. It's a really messed up, cool little film that's very reminiscent of a Guy Ritchie movie.
Okay, yeah, well, I'm making a list right now of shit I could see.
You need to see Yatterman.
Human Centipede at the top, of course. Yatterman. What the hell is that?
The new Mickey film. It is based on the old children's show Yatterman. And
I saw a big expo about that. That doesn't interest me too much at all. It looks really goofy.
Yeah, it is really goofy, and it's really goofy for an hour and a half, and then in the last minute and a half, Mickey totally brings it around and makes it a profound film. Okay. It's really a strange one, but I really kind of dug. It's essentially Yatterman. For those of you not familiar with it, it's an old, I think, 70s era show that spawned a lot of these things that you would come to know as like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And this is like one of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But this was based
it was a manga and a cartoon, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. I saw 20 minutes from this, and I have to say the parts I saw just a little bit too goofy for me. So I wasn't too crazy about seeing it. But hey, I'm not going to judge a movie about 20 minutes. I'll watch it and see if it's cool. I mean, if people come back and say that was a really badass film, I'll go see it.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I really kind of dug it where it went. It's an interesting one. That's just it's a delightful sugary bowl of cereal, and it knows it, and it plays it the whole way through. Mickey is like really what's interesting about it is this is like G.I. Joe for them. This is a big deal that it's getting a live action film adaptation, and that a big name Japanese director is doing it. But it's a Japanese director known for doing a lot of crazy shit. And he plays it straight and gives the audience exactly what they want. There's even a blatant. I've never watched the show, and I could tell that this was a cameo sequence because they have a cameo of what's clearly the actors who played the initial three villains in the TV show, all sitting there getting soup, and it's one of those. It's like, wow, okay, I get this.
But we're talking about Takashi Miike, who's done a lot of adult fare, and this is almost his. This is his children's film.
Yes. And it's got some sexual innuendo to it. So someone in a review said that it's kid friendly, and I'm like, are you out of your goddamn mind? There's some blatant sexual innuendo here. It's not really totally kid friendly, but it's definitely not rated R. It's definitely not anything you'd expect out of Mickey.
Well, I think in the country that's from, I think a lot of things that passes like adult here passes children's fare over there. I mean, I think I think they got like a show with Barney with his penis hanging out or something. So over there, that shit is fine.
Yeah, but that's called the Corey Coleman show.
Hey kids, where you going? Don't come back.
You gotta touch Corey's Wee Willie Winky. It's the magic Winky hour.
All right. I'm not a molester. I just like to, put on little puppet shows for kids. So you want to go ahead and get some email right now? Because we are approaching close to an hour here.
All right. How about some Twitter questions, my man?
All right.
Okay. I just got to read this one because it wins the most pretentious question of the week award.
Okay. I got to hear this.
Yeah, because it's pretty pretentious. Someone who normally has really great questions, and I got to bust his balls for this. It's Tom G25, and he asks, favorite Kurosawa movie? I can't decide between Akiru, Rashomon, and Seven Samurai. So Corey, what's your favorite Akira Kurosawa movie?
Well, I have we'll say it's pretentious, and yeah, it's a guy who's like saying, I know about film, even classic directors like Akira Kurosawa. But no, I right now, at this moment, my first two films from Netflix were two foreign films. I mentioned one like several times already. One was a French film, Umbrellas of Cherbourg, and the other film was an Akira Kurosawa movie, Rashomon. and I'm enjoying that movie. I have yet to say that I recognize it for the classic that it is. I know it's influenced a lot of films, but I haven't finished watching it yet. But at the moment, I'm enjoying it. But come on, man, Seven Samurai. I mean, who the fuck? What other answer is there for people of our generation? Seven
Samurai is one of my favorite films of all time. It's on every favorite film list I ever make. It's got to be Seven Samurai.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, that's you know the answer to that before you even write it. So
here's another question in that vein, but that has an answer other than Seven Samurai.
Okay.
And this is from Antho42, and he asks, what is your favorite French film?
Oh, Jesus. What is your favorite French film? I mean, there's so many. How can I just name one?
Well, because you might know what your favorite French film is. I know what my favorite French film is.
So you have one favorite French film right now?
Well, when it comes to what's my absolute favorite French film, if I had to choose one French film and only watch one French film for the rest of my life, it would be The City of Lost Children by
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, that's because that's such a film that plays to who I am. I mean, I love that movie, and I love those kind of films, and I love what Jeunet did with that film. It's such a really great movie. City of Lost Children. If you've never seen it, you are missing out. It is a fantastic dark fairy tale.
Yeah, no, it is. And I actually like the other movie, Delicatessen, better. Who are the directors?
Jeunet, and I forget the other guy's name now that you've asked.
I've seen so many French movies that it's just like in America. I mean, I've seen so many French movies in so many different genres. Like I said, I just got through watching a classic musical, and then I've seen French horror films. I've seen French dramas. I've seen French action films. So I can't really break it down to one particular movie. And I mean, I'm just now beginning to discover like the French New Wave and watch some of those movies, some of them again for a second time. And so I that question is just very broad. It's one of those questions that I just can't answer right off the bat. But I really did enjoy The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. So there you go.
Well, I would also throw La Femme Nikita's up there for me. I really love La Femme Nikita. Yeah,
I do like that movie. Like I said, Delicatessen I like a lot, but then I've seen a lot of old French films that I like a lot too. I mean, it's really one that I can't narrow down to one film. That's like somebody asking me, "What is your favorite movie?" And I don't really have one. It'd be fair for me. It would be unfair for me to name just one. So yeah, a little too broad for me. But I have my favorites in every genre, and I don't want to bore anybody with going down a list. So
all right. So Ricky Carrar asks an interesting question. Ricky Carrar, or maybe it's Carrar, but it's two R's, so I'm guessing Ricky Carrar. And he asks, question for a Coco. Are you two looking forward to Bad Boys 3? You know it's going to be the best movie ever, right? LOL. I think it is going to be the best fucking movie ever. Fucking Bad Boys 2 was fucking incredible. That movie catches a lot of flack, but man, that is the best car chase in the last decade. Easily. A lot of people will say, oh, no, the car chase from Ronin. The car chase from Ronin got boring. I actually literally got bored halfway through the car chase in Ronin. The car chase in fucking Bad Boys 2 is off the fucking
hook. It had cadavers flying all over the place. It was
that's
crazy,
the second car chase. Yeah. I love the first car chase up on the the Miami expressway with the boat and accidentally shooting through the car and all the craziness there.
There's some things in Michael Bay's action films that I don't need to see. I mean, there's these themes that go into his film, like animal sex. You see a lot, and sometimes the action gets too crazy. But for something like Bad Boys 2, that movie was so insane and so over the top that I let go, and I said, all right, I'm having fun with this. It'll be crazy for me to sit here and nitpick this movie. It's a Michael Bay movie with not just Will Smith, but Martin Lawrence. And I'll tell you something, though. That's one of the things that really makes that movie, is the chemistry and and a lot of the scenes between Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. They really helped that movie because those guys, they're not serious about anything in those movies. And they're just sitting around cracking jokes through the whole thing. And they kind of they kind of ground all the absurd shit that's going on in those Bad Boy movies. I wasn't crazy about Bad Boys 1. I actually thought that was kind of boring, but they amped it up for Bad Boys 2. And like I say, you got two guys who do comedy very well, and they're just showing you just how goofy this film is by kind of being goofy themselves. And it works that way. If you had two guys who were taking it more seriously, those movies wouldn't work. So I'm dreading and I'm looking forward to Bad Boys 3 because it can either be so insane that it tops the second one, and you're thinking like, wow, my mind has just been blown. Or it could be so crazy that it could be like, all right, I let it slide for the second one, but this is just fucking ridiculous here.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. Bad Boys 2 stands as one of those films where the sequel is actually better than what came before it.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And it's I really am looking forward to this. It's what Michael Bay does best is bad boy movies. It's the very best thing he does, and I'm really looking forward to it. They're the only buddy cop films that still work these days.
I mean, it was crazy at the end too when they had I've only seen the movie once, but I did like it, and I remember that at the end they even had to like go over the top with the death scene of the villain. Like it wasn't enough just to like shoot the guy, but when they shot him, the guy had to fall on a mine and blow up in half. And I was like, this is some shit that you see.
Michael Bay does.
I know. That's like this is some shit you see on Family Guy. I mean, this is crazy.
Oh God, I love that movie. I need to put that movie in this week before Fantastic Fest. I've got it on DVD. I love the shit out of that movie. In fact, that movie gave us one of my favorite T-shirts of all time, which was the Hot Fuzz T-shirt, which had the tagline on it, "This shirt just got real."
Oh yeah, because that movie is just a big riff on Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2. Those two guys in that movie love
Point Break, and Edgar Wright loves the hell out of Bad Boys 2 and thought he was alone until he came to Austin and discovered a whole mess of us here that love the shit out of it too. So
no, Bad Boys 2 I really do like a lot. Like I said, it's one of those rare movies though. I mean, hey, listen, if you're going to do an action film and do it to a point where it's just unbelievable, just go all out with it. And that's what they do with Bad Boys 2. And they're cracking jokes to the whole thing. So it all works for some reason. And yeah, I enjoy it too. What else you got there?
I got one last question for you before we go to your email. This is, again, we'll round out. We'll come back around. Tom G25.
It's the same guy?
Same guy, but he asked a really good question. So I had to ask the pretentious question and now the good question because this question's great. Is there a film or TV show that most reflects your high school experience? Dazed and Confused, Freaks and Geeks, Happy Days.
A TV show that reflects my high school experience?
Or a TV show or movie.
Or movie.
What media reflects your high school experience? I'll go ahead and go with mine. Can't Hardly Wait. People ask why I have that on my top 10 favorite films because it's one of my favorite movies ever. But quite literally, that very much reflects what I was in high school. I was I was a writer. I was planning on going off to college for writing. There's this girl I pined for all through high school. Couldn't really get the guts to do what I needed to, say to her, and ended up writing this poem that through a whole weird set of coincidences created my own weird teen high school comedy. And I end up on the last day of school at the graduation party hanging out with her. And quite literally, it mimicked a lot of things in that movie. And that movie really kind of spoke to that experience that I had in high school and being that guy. And so that movie really hits me where I live. And that's the film that if you want to know what Carlisle's high school experience was like, watch the movie Can't Hardly Wait. Except I didn't get the girl.
Let me see. Mine would be Heathers, because I went around killing all the popular kids and getting away with it. No, I actually, it really is Heathers. Because not if you take out the murder part. I was kind of like Winona Ryder in that movie where I was just kind of the person who got along with, who wasn't a part of any group. I had like one guy that I kind of hung out with a lot. And then and then and we discovered some things about each other. No, I had a best friend in high school, man. Him and I hung out, and we were just kind of like, I mean, we've
talked about the fact that you were a nerd in high school.
I was. Well, let me see, because I'm trying to think of another movie, but Heathers was the one where I was a guy. I was not part of any kind of group. I was actually kind of content with just kind of being who I was, and I was happy to be who I was by the time I was 17. I was pretty confident at that point, but because of that, I actually got along with a lot of the popular kids and the unpopular kids. I mean, I could just ease into any group and get along with people. And if you also take another aspect of high school movies, I can't really name one, but those high school movies where you start out with the ugly person who all of a sudden becomes like, I'm not gonna say I became like a really handsome guy, but I was an ugly kid. I'm not gonna lie, I was like an ugly kid when I was like 13, 14, 15, and a little bit 16. And then there was just one day where I looked at myself and I said, you know something? Is really a point of just fixing these things about me. The way you dress, the way you cut your hair, you get rid of all your acne. If you take enough medicine and eat right, you start exercising and taking care of yourself and looking well. And I went from girls telling me like, I don't want you to, like actually having people ask me out on dates by the time I was 17 and actually having to learn how to, go on dates and what to say and how to get along with girls and everything. So any kind of high school movie with that theme, I consider myself to be in that category.
You know what's funny? I got the actual makeover experience in high school. I had the female best friend who did the whole full-on makeover with me, took me out and we bought clothes and said, you know what you need? You need an earring and you need to do this to your hair and transform me from the dork into the mullet earring
and
wearing.
wear this feather boa.
that
put on this eyeliner.
Still didn't get dates.
Well, I mean, it takes a while, man. Shit, everybody's so picky in high school. But I mean, by the time I got to high school, I didn't know how to like talk to girls, and so I just said like all the smart ass things that I could, and a lot of girls took it as, oh, this guy's kind of like being a really confident asshole, and I was like, not really.
You know what was really great about graduating high school though?
What's that?
Finally getting to date high school girls.
And to this day, you're still keeping that up.
Still keeping it every chance I get.
Keeping the dream alive.
That's right. I keep getting older. They stay the same age.
Yeah, there you go. The real Matthew McConaughey.
Dude, I live a mile from there. I go to eat there all the time.
Oh, from what? From that hamburger joint? What was it called?
Top Notch.
Top Notch. Yeah.
I live right up the road from that famous scene. Every time I have filmmaker friends come in town, it's like, all right, I got to show you this place. And I drive them up there, and they're like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "The scene from Dazed and Confused. I do love them redheads." And they're like, "Oh my god, this is the place! Holy shit!"
Oh yeah,
so, and good burgers, man. Good burgers and good chicken there. Have you ever had the fried chicken at Top Notch?
I have. I used to work. I worked with a friend, and they had a studio around the corner from there. And they told me exactly what you said: the chicken and the hamburgers. And there was one week where we had the hamburgers, and then the next week we went and got the chicken. I was like, God damn, this is good.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I rarely get the burgers because I always get the chicken because it's such good chicken.
Okay, you read those.
Go ahead.
I'll go ahead. I said you read those, so I guess I should read some email on my end.
Read us an email real quick.
So people won't be like, Corey, I sent you emails and you didn't fucking read my questions. Okay.
Yeah, but that's what Let's Do This is for.
And that's what we do. We read a lot of these people's questions. And people have even started going from like asking us on Let's Do This, like saying, please, fuck our thoughts. They're asking you and I like to fuck their thoughts now. And I'm like, well, I thought that's what we did every week anyway. Okay, this comes from Mr. Bowler, and he says, long-time listener, and see right here, first time to get my thoughts fucked. He says, I'll keep it short. What are some movie quotes that you seem to incorporate into your daily life, whether subconsciously or on purpose? Thanks. Unless you don't read it, then whatever. All right, well, we're reading this, and you want to answer first or you want me to answer first?
Well, the one that I say probably every single day is Con.
Damn, do you just find a moment to just work it in? Like
no, just whenever something whenever something really frustrates me, or when it's something that's you've been foiled in whatever you've done. The perfect answer is always Con, and when you do it, people totally understand what you're talking about without you having to throw a chair.
So I didn't know if you were like going through the drive-through at Wendy's and like, man, take your order, and like Con. They're like, what the fuck, Kurt? What do you want? You want food or not?
I would chase you down round permission's flame. He tasks me, and I will have him.
And the person's like, let me get my manager real quick. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I just want trying to get what he wants. I have to say that I incorporate quotes from movies that and these quotes just sound normal. It's the way that I say them that are from the movies that relate them back to those films. There are two Disney films that I find myself saying quotes from all the time. Like if I'm thinking deep about something, there's a line in 101 Dalmatians where one of the puppies seems to be dead. And the guy in the movie starts like he picks up the puppy and he says to himself, and yet I wonder. And he starts petting the puppy and warming it up, and the puppy comes back alive. And whatever I thinking to myself, I'm like, and yet I wonder. And there's been a few people who have known, they said, is that from 101 Dalmatians? They're like, wow, that's so generic, but really good. That's good. And then the other movie's from The Sword and the Stone, where Merlin is, I think he's just pissed off Arthur, and he's taken off. And the owl, I forgot what Archimedes is looking at Erling. He's like, what do we do now? And then he says, what's that fucking line that I say all the time? It is, fuck, now I can't even think of it now that I'm saying it. Jesus Christ.
Wow, really? They say that in a Disney film?
Yeah, they do. They say, fuck. Well, what do we do now, brother? Fuck, I don't know, man.
Think about that. The one of the other ones that I say on a regular basis, what always amazes me is that people don't recognize this, and I get the weirdest looks because people think I'm actually saying this, where, I'm about to leave, and I just kind of wave to everybody and go, I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife.
Oh, from the Will Ferrell movie?
That's from the end of Clue.
I've never seen Clue. That's
because
what you said.
Because one of the characters is gay throughout the movie, and he's a homosexual, and at the end of one of the endings, he turns out to actually be an FBI agent that was posing as that, and they're like, "You're an FBI agent? You were faking it?" And he's like, "Yep, I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife." And that's the end of the film, and that's what it ends on. And I'll wave and walk out to that. And some people get it, and they'll be, oh, okay, that's funny, it's Clue. And other people are like, why did you just fucking tell me that? I didn't want to hear that.
Oh, I got it now. That's what happens. Merlin gets pissed off in the movie, and he's just like, fuck this, and he disappears because Arthur doesn't want to take the challenge of being king or anything. It's from Disney's The Sword and the Stone. And he leaves Arthur and the owl Archimedes there, and Arthur's just like, what the fuck happened? He looks at Archimedes and like, well, what are we going to do now? And Archimedes says, who knows? Who knows anything? And sometimes I'll respond to people and they're like, well, what are you going to do now? Like, I don't know, who knows? Who knows? And some people have actually said, wait a minute, that's from some cartoon or something. So, yeah, I usually say, I did say one time, I'll say this at the appropriate times, and I know where I got it from. I've actually responded like subconsciously and didn't know where I got it from and thought about it, and somebody called me on it. But if I get a cold and it's like warm weather, somebody might say to me like, you sound a little stopped up. Are you sick? And I was like, yeah, a little bit. Summertime colds are the worst. And somebody's actually recognized that line. Do you recognize that line?
No.
It is from Chinatown. Jack Nicholson says it to someone. Yeah, and he's like, summertime colds are the worst. And I'm like, and people have actually recognized that line. I'm surprised what people actually remember, because these are things that I would never catch if I heard somebody else saying it. So,
the Disney line that I found myself repeating the most over history was from Alice in Wonderland.
Which is what?
Mustard? Don't let me do it. Whenever somebody's like, you want mustard on that? It's, just instinctively, it's like, mustard?
Oh,
let's be silly.
You know what? You have actually nailed something for me that I say when I'm playing video games. And you'll remember this if you watch Alice in Wonderland. When I feel like I'm about to win the game or beat the boss, or I'm playing against somebody in a fighting game, and I know I'm about to just put down this crazy move on their ass, it's going to knock them down, I will say, the time has come, the walrus said, to speak of many things. And, I go ahead and stab that person in the ass or something. But yeah. So yeah,
I'm just reminded of Pulp Fiction there, where you'll have this moment where you start thinking about the time has come, the walrus said, and realize that it's deep shit. And you're like, I just thought that was some cold ass shit to say to somebody before you put, bust the cap into him. But as it turns out, I am the walrus, and you are the one the time has come for.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, me and Leon are always saying to each other, whenever we say something and the other person gets happy about the news we just heard, we're like, well, shit, Negro, that's all you have to say. Yeah. You've actually heard us say that a lot.
Oh, so. Many times.
Yeah.
But I think it would be so appropriate for me to talk about the thing that I quote once a week, every week. Little TV show called Animaniacs.
Oh, I remember
which
Animaniacs.
I quote it all the time. Various quotes. It's actually when me and my wife met, she had seen Pulp Fiction more times than I had, and she watched Animaniacs, and so did I. And our first phone conversation involved us throwing Animaniacs quotes back and forth while talking about Pulp Fiction, and I knew that I had to marry this woman. So sure enough, I have one quote that I bust out on a couple of cold ones every week.
Oh. Hey, look, I'm sorry. I just had to turn up the TV for a second. I never seen this before. Brian and the baby, I forgot, Stewie. They're doing a takeoff of Office Space, and they're beating the fuck out of a record while the Ghetto Boys is playing in the background. And I just had to turn it up for a second to see if they actually played the Ghetto Boys song. You remember that scene when they're beating up the printer?
Oh yeah,
yeah, and they're actually playing the fucking Ghetto Boys song and they're beating up this record. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Animaniacs.
Yeah. No, there's a quote that I bust out on a couple of cold ones every week from Animaniacs.
And what is that?
Good night, everybody.
How is anybody supposed to know that that's from Animaniacs? That could be from the Tonight Show, anything.
I think you just, I don't know.
Okay.
I just do it. I just every week it's like, what am I going? Good night, everybody.
Hey, I got another question.
So I do it, and then we end the show.
Well, is that a hint right now?
Well, since we've been doing this for about an hour and 15 minutes, good night, everybody.
I had one more question, man. I'm sorry. I had one more. I had my heart set on it. I'll let you come back to it. Keep that in mind.
All right.
Keep that thought. Hey, hold that thought. This is from Fam Guy 233. We can answer this real quick. It says, has there been a movie where the trailer came out and you didn't really want to see it, but when you saw a second trailer or some clips, you kind of want to see the movie after all? And mine is Star Trek, the first trailer, which looked like crap, but one of the other trailers got me pumped to see it. How about yourself?
Yeah, it happens all the time. I can't think of anything right offhand. I'm trying to think. I just saw a trailer recently where someone's like, you have to watch the second trailer. And I did. And I was like, oh, I want to see that film. And I can't remember what it is now. But I
don't have a movie, but I will substitute some images for that. This is a Dark Knight answer, but I think it's very appropriate because when I first saw Heath Ledger's picture as the Joker, I was like, this is going to fucking suck. I don't think this looks like the Joker at all, and which means if it's not a good-looking Joker, then the movie's going to crumble. And then I saw another poster where Heath Ledger it's the one where Heath Ledger's in the middle of the street and the building is exploding behind him, and I was like, wow, okay, they got me on this. And then I saw some photos in a magazine, not GQ, Vanity Fair. I saw some pictures in Vanity Fair, and I was like, holy shit, okay, I'm sold. I can't wait to see this. So that's my answer right there. Not really a trailer or a movie clip, but that'll have to do for now. Hey, Carlisle, what do those crazy Animaniacs say?
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.